I never thought loneliness could sneak into a marriage the way it did into mine. My husband, Mark, was a good man, hardworking, dependable, and in many ways, everything a woman should want. But after nearly 15 years of marriage, the spark between us had dimmed to a soft glow, barely flickering. We didn't fight much, but we didn't laugh much either. Most days felt like we were business partners rather than lovers. Schedules, bills, errands, and responsibilities filled every corner of our lives, leaving little space for passion. It was during one of those quiet evenings, when Mark was away on yet another business trip, that I found myself scrolling mindlessly online. Social media, forums, random chat groups, anything to fill the silence of the house. That's when I stumbled into a discussion board about books. I typed a few replies, not expecting anything more than casual banter with strangers. Then a message popped up from someone with the username Ethan Writes. He had replied to my comment about a novel we both loved. Funny, I thought I was the only one who appreciated the darker layers of that story, he wrote. I smiled, typing back, without much thought. Guess you're not as unique as you thought. What began as a short exchange about literature turned into a longer back and forth about favorite authors, movies, and late-night thoughts. His wit was sharp, his words clever, and unlike the rushed conversations I had with Mark, Ethan actually seemed to listen. At first, it was harmless. Just a stranger online. Just a way to fill the quiet hours. But night after night, I found myself logging in, hoping to see that little green next to his name. Our chats stretched from minutes to hours. Ethan was around my age, though he claimed he felt younger at heart. Divorced, living alone, working remotely. He painted his world in words that made me feel like I was stepping into another life each time we talked. We began sharing personal stories. He asked about my marriage, my dreams, the things that made me smile. I hesitated at first, but his genuine curiosity made it hard to hold back. Soon, I confessed things I hadn't told anyone, not even Mark. Sometimes I feel invisible, I typed one night. Like I'm here to keep things running, but not really seen. After a pause, his reply came. I see you. More than you realize. Those words hit me harder than I expected. My chest tightened, my breath caught. I knew it was silly. He was just a man behind a screen. And yet he made me feel noticed, wanted, alive. The thrill of it consumed me. I found myself checking my phone in secret, sneaking away during the day to read his messages. Every ping of a notification sent a rush of excitement through me. Our conversations began to tiptoe toward flirtation. Compliments slipped in, playful teasing. He told me I had a way with words that turned him on. I laughed it off, but inside I was burning. I told myself it was still harmless. Just typing on a screen. No one would ever know. But I was lying to myself. One night, after a glass of wine, I sent him a picture. Nothing scandalous, just me curled up on the couch, a soft smile on my lips. His response came almost instantly. God, you're beautiful. My heart pounded. It had been years since anyone had said that to me with such raw sincerity. Soon, our conversations grew bolder. We began talking about fantasies, about desires left unspoken in real life. He painted vivid scenarios with words, and I let myself sink into them. My fingers trembled as I typed things I never imagined I'd confess. And then it happened, the moment I couldn't take back. He asked me, "Do you ever think about me when you're alone?" I stared at the screen, torn between guilt and temptation. My fingers hovered, then typed, "Yes." From that night forward, our chats were no longer innocent. They were charged, electric, filled with heat. He described what he wanted to do to me, how he'd touch me, kiss me, claim me. And I responded in kind, my body reacting to every word. It was intoxicating. Addictive. I craved it more than I ever expected. I told myself it was still just online. Still safe. Still not real. But deep down, I knew I had already crossed the line. Weeks turned into months. Ethan became the secret part of my life I couldn't live without. By day, I was Mark's dutiful wife, handling chores, smiling politely at dinners, pretending everything was fine. By night, I was someone else, desired, daring, alive. We exchanged pictures, videos, even late-night calls where whispers turned into moans. The distance between us made it feel unreal, like a dream I could wake from at any moment. But the emotions were real. The hunger, the thrill, the sense of being wanted, it consumed me. There were nights I'd lie in bed beside Mark, my phone tucked secretly in my hand, messaging Ethan under the covers. My guilt grew heavier, but so did my need for him. Finally, Ethan asked the question I'd been both dreading and longing to hear. "When do I get to see you in person?" I froze. Meeting him would change everything. Online, we could hide behind screens, pretend it wasn't real. But face-to-face? That would make it undeniable. And yet, the thought of touching him, of feeling the warmth of his skin, of bringing all those whispered fantasies to life, it was too much to resist. I agreed. We chose a hotel in the city, far from where anyone would recognize us. My hands shook as I parked the car, my heart racing so fast I thought it might burst. I almost turned back, almost convinced myself I couldn't go through with it.
But then I saw him.
Standing in the lobby, taller than I imagined, his eyes lighting up when they met mine. The air between us crackled with unspoken desire. When he touched my hand, it was like a spark igniting every nerve in my body. We didn't waste time with small talk. The moment the door closed behind us, our lips collided, desperate and hungry. Every fantasy we had shared came to life in that room. His hands roamed my body, his mouth claimed mine, and I surrendered completely. For hours, we lost ourselves in passion, in the fire we had built over months of whispered words and secret longing. It was reckless. It was wrong. But in that moment, it felt like the most right thing I had ever done. The affair continued, both online and in stolen moments. But reality has a way of catching up. Mark grew suspicious of my constant phone use, of my sudden absences. One night, he confronted me. "Who are you always talking to?" he asked, his voice trembling. I froze. The guilt that had been simmering inside me spilled over. I wanted to deny it, to lie, but the look in his eyes broke me. Tears streamed down my face as I confessed. Not all of it, but enough. Enough to shatter his trust, enough to tear our world apart. The days that followed were a blur of arguments, silence, and pain. Ethan still messaged me, begging me to choose him, to leave Mark and be with him. But standing in the ruins of my marriage, I realized something. What started as harmless online chats had become a fire that consumed everything. I had to make a choice: cling to the dangerous passion that had awakened me, or try to rebuild the life I had nearly destroyed.